Eric, hi. I saw you just yesterday, and what a great job you did at the State of Hollywood. So with great pleasure, I welcome this transit corridor advocate and highly committed candidate to our transit corridor cabinet. Hi, Eric. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I feel like the guy every year who comes just before you're about to eat dessert and that the panel is just about ready to speak, and then I come and they don't get to speak, so I'll try to be brief. And thank you to both sides of the stage for an incredible assemblage of people and the beauty that's out here in the audience today. Would that I were a mirror and not be a speaker, that you could see yourselves right now. This is an amazing consensus that we have built and momentum that we have built, each one of us, to make sure that we understand the intersection of how we live between transit, transportation, housing, our environment, jobs. These things used to be policy areas when I taught public policy about 12 years ago that used to be segregated off. And Manuel and others at Occidental, when we came together with the Progressive Los Angeles Network, began to say, hey, maybe some of these things interact with each other. And in the 2001 mayor's race, actually, mayor's races are great opportunities to get people to promise things, hint, hint. And during that 2001 campaign, every mayoral candidate promised all the right things, so it didn't really matter who won. We were going to have a progressive agenda on all sorts of fronts. And I sense a similar coming together here, and I know I'm the last of the mayoral candidates to come forward, but let me just add to the chorus. Yes, of course, I support lowering to 55% the threshold to get transit funding and to get transportation funding done. I would also favor that in affordable housing as well, to add one more thing, because those of us who work together on Proposition H, which in any other state would have been a landslide victory of 63%, was not a 67% vote, but clearly an overwhelming majority of folks said we want to be able to have money for housing, affordable housing, a dedicated stream that even in the midst of recession we would have had. And the cabinet is something that certainly I would carry on as mayor, because I think the Mayor Villaraigosa's cabinet, looking at this intersection, has been so critical to taking us from the abstract to the very concrete and making sure that we have that every single day and each week looking at how we do this. But the nice thing also for those of us who are running for office, I know Jan Perry was here earlier, is that we don't come here saying, hey, these are good ideas, tell me how to do this, and I'd love to do it. We've actually done it. We're practitioners. In fact, we talk to people around the country now about how you can combine things like community benefit packages and transportation lines and affordable housing. You know, if you look at where I have my field office in East Hollywood, I get to go to work on the 4th floor of the old Louis B. Mayer building. Before he founded MGM, that's where his office was, and kind of feel the bones of early Hollywood there. But you all remember about 10 years ago what Hollywood and Western was like. Remember when Hollywood Billiards was down there in the basement, and there were people that were shot on the corner, there was prostitution, drug dealing, gang activity. And when the red line came in place there, we had a lot of decisions to make about what we would bring around that red line. And there's been 5 different affordable housing projects just there alone. And my favorite days are when people come into my office and say, hey, I'd love to get an apartment across the street. It's so beautiful. I love the architecture. Do you think you can, give me a phone number? And when I ask them, what their income level is, and it's just somebody who's, doesn't qualify for affordable housing, they say, wait, that's affordable housing? Because we know good housing is good housing, period, and that it can be housing for affordable housing for folks who have lower incomes in this city and still revitalize a neighborhood. You can take something like a Walgreens that wants to come in at the corner of Sunset and Vine and say, wait a second, this is Los Angeles, you can't put your store in the back of this property so that you have parking lots on Sunset and Western. We want you to put it on the street so that we can activate that. And oh, by the way, the space above is going to go to affordable housing. And a company like Walgreens goes, wait a second, we've never done that. But by the time it's done, they said, we want to do this again and again and again. You see, this stuff works. And we have to have a strategy for preserving affordable housing that exists along transit corridors now so that we won't see the great success of the Expo line or the great success of us taking the Wilshire line and other lines through Crenshaw as well, that those don't displace affordable housing that's there. Yes, we can build more housing along that's mixed income, but we have to have a strategy with metrics and numbers to say we will preserve and we will try to build new housing. When you look in Hollywood, we've built more affordable housing than market rate housing, and that's been very important, so that at a corner of Hollywood and Vine, there's a W Hotel providing living wage jobs, there's luxury condominiums, there's middle class apartments, and then 25% with no subsidy from the city were built as affordable housing units, so that a housekeeper at the W Hotel might have the chance to go home to her daughter after school on the same block where she works, instead of getting on transit for 2 hours or driving from the Inland Empire back and forth, causing her and all of us more traffic, more pollution, and a disconnection from her own family and her community. So you've got a great panel here waiting. Just know that it's with 32 days left, but who's counting? I can't be in an audience of this many people without saying, I would really like your vote on March 5th. I would be proud to be your mayor. I would be proud to take the momentum that we have shown in the heart of the city, a place where the third poorest district of 15 in this city has added jobs in the midst of a recession. As we're down 10% in jobs, we've added 5% in my district. The Chamber of Commerce analyzes each district each year. And we've done it because we've done good planning. We realize that it starts with the streetscape, whether it's Glendale Boulevard and Atwater Village in a pedestrian-oriented district that gets people not to get in their car and to drive to a restaurant elsewhere, but to walk to a cafe or to walk to go shopping or to walk to get to a bite to eat. Whether it's corridors like Sunset Boulevard and Echo Park and Silver Lake, where we have independent businesses, or whether it's our larger, more dense neighborhoods like in Hollywood, where we've shown we can bring back our most famous neighborhood, but do it with a conscience. LA's days are still, best days are still ahead of us, and our transit corridors will be the skeleton that we put on the future, prosperity of this city. And these lines, even post-CRA, will be how we do it as well. So thank you. I'd appreciate your consideration in 32 days if you live in the city, and if you don't, tell somebody in the city of LA to vote for me. Thank you.